Invest as much as you can, as early as you can, for as long as you can. This is the goal. This is your mission statement, the thing that will shape all your spending behavior and monetary habits.
For most of us, our early 20s is when we actually start to take money seriously. From earning our first paychecks, to buying our first cars, to moving out of our parents' homes, adjusting to adult life can be both incredibly exciting and totally overwhelming at the same time. And as a result, long-term financial planning is more often than not pretty low down on our priority list. But the reality is that we have a critical window of opportunity to set ourselves up for future financial independence. What we choose to do with our money in our 20s and the financial discipline that we form in these early years will have a huge impact on the decades to come. So let's dive right in and discuss 5 money mistakes to avoid in your 20s.
The first money mistake to avoid is chasing an unrealistic lifestyle. We've all heard the cautionary tale about trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's obvious that chasing a lifestyle which is beyond your financial means is generally not going to work out well, certainly not in the long term. But even if we are aware of this fact, it's really hard not to compare ourselves to others and compete with their financial decision making. It's human nature to want to be liked and accepted by our friends. Whether we're consciously aware of it or not, we often judge ourselves against the success of our peers. We like knowing that we can keep up with those around us. We want to be respected after all. And as if the pressure from our friends and colleagues was not enough, we have social media to contend with too. The nature of social media is such that people tend to highlight the most interesting parts of their lives. Things like going on holiday, getting a new wardrobe, buying a new car or moving into a new house. And this adds a lot of pressure on us to keep up with what we perceive as being normal.
I'm sure you can relate to that. Social media invokes powerful feelings in us. Feelings of insecurity or fear of missing out. Why does my life not look like that? Have I done something wrong? And to make matters worse, we're constantly bombarded with a flood of online advertising, which further reinforces these feelings. The obvious next step for many of us is thus to give in to our emotions and spend money we probably don't have, in an effort to make ourselves feel better. And when you can buy practically anything with the click of a button, it just makes the whole process so much more inevitable. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with spending money on yourself from time to time. The problem comes in when we allow our financial well-being to be jeopardized by decisions of emotions and through trying to keep up with unrealistic standards. By allowing emotion to dictate our spending behavior, we can be assured that we will ultimately lose control over our finances and find ourselves heavily in debt sooner than we think. One of the most important things to understand is that our perception of wealth and success is in fact heavily skewed. Not just by social media, as we've already discussed, but because so many people use debt to finance a lavish lifestyle. Debt gives you the ability to access more money than what you've earned, so you're able to artificially increase your spending power. And this often distorts our perception that people are earning more than they really are. The problem, of course, is that debt eventually catches up with you. And if you allow yourself to go too deep into debt because you're desperately trying to maintain appearances, you'll find yourself in a very difficult financial position.
In our experience, what this all comes down to in the end is the ability to prioritize your future self over your present self. In other words, how much value you choose to place on your long-term financial well-being versus your desire for instant gratification. Giving in to instant gratification means that you prioritize your present self at a cost to your future self. Choosing to buy a new car now will mean that you have less ability to save for your future, for example. Whereas if you can develop the discipline to prioritize your future well-being, you'll be far more likely to avoid emotional purchases today that end up costing your future financial success. You have to make the decision for yourself. Am I going to chase a lifestyle that I know is unsustainable, that puts my future at risk? Or is my future financial stability more important? Do I sacrifice a little today in order to be able to stop renting and afford to buy a family home one day? Do I say no to certain lifestyle upgrades today so I have the ability to work less in future, allowing me to be a better parent to my kids? These are the sorts of questions to ask yourself every time you consider a lifestyle purchase. And if you can master this, you put yourself on a path to accelerated financial success.
The second money mistake to avoid is not investing from day one. So you've just come out of school and started your first full-time job. You've probably got a long list of stuff you want to buy. After all, it's probably the first time you've had real financial independence. There's a good chance things like saving and investing are not exactly high up on your priority list, especially since retirement seems like a lifetime away. And this is true, sure, if you're happy to wait 40 or 50 years to retire. We don't subscribe to that model. Why not retire earlier? We discuss this in more detail in our financial freedom video, linked in the description. One of the biggest traps you can fall into is thinking that there's no urgency to start investing, and that's because of the power of compound growth.
We'd like to demonstrate the power of compound growth with two practical examples. Scenario 1. Bob saves $250 per month from age 30, right through until age 65. That means Bob has saved for a period of 35 years. Assuming an average return of 9% per year, this means Bob will have accumulated $740,000 over this 35-year period. Scenario 2. Alice saves the same $250 per month, but she starts saving earlier, at age 21. Instead of saving until age 65 like Bob, Alice only saves for a 10-year period up until age 30. She then stops saving completely and lets the power of compound growth work for her. By the time Alice reaches age 65 and assuming the same 9% rate of return, Alice would have around $1 million accumulated. So despite the fact that Alice only saved for 10 years versus Bob who saved for 35 years, Alice had more money at retirement. Now, if Alice didn't stop investing at 30, but instead continued all the way until age 65, she'd have almost $2 million saved.
These simple examples Justin mentioned clearly demonstrate the incredible power of compound growth and the principle of letting your money work for you. When it comes to investing, time can be both your greatest friend and your biggest enemy. If you start investing late, you simply won't have enough time to let compounding really work for you. But if you start early, you leverage the power of time to your advantage. By starting to invest early, you are able to responsibly capitalize on investment opportunities that carry a higher risk-reward ratio that you wouldn't be able to risk in later years. You are young enough to recover financially and learn from mistakes or miscalculations. At this stage, before you are married and have children, you have less responsibilities and bills, and therefore can save more aggressively. This can be a significant catalyst to becoming wealthy.
The third money mistake to avoid is not securing good money habits early on. It goes without saying that developing sound money habits as early as possible in your financial journey will benefit you greatly. But rather than rattling off on a long list of habits to try remember, we like to narrow everything down to this one simple phrase. Invest as much as you can, as early as you can, for as long as you can. This is the goal. This is your mission statement, the thing that will shape all your spending behavior and monetary habits. At this stage, you may be wondering, okay, but what do I invest in? Our recommendation in the beginning stages is that you invest what you're comfortable with, perhaps something like a low-risk index fund. Look for a product with very low fees and no withdrawal penalties. You should always check that there are no withdrawal restrictions. You want flexibility to access 100% of your funds at any time. Do some basic research and just get started. Now, if you're not yet comfortable to invest, that's perfectly fine. But at minimum, you should be accumulating wealth, whether it be cash in a savings account or making overpayments on your mortgage. Most importantly, ensure you pursue more financial education so that your investment confidence and abilities can improve. Start listening to a financial podcast, or even better, subscribe to this channel to get your weekly dose of financial education. We'll cover the different investment options in much greater detail in upcoming videos.
Now, in order to have money available to invest, you'll naturally need to prioritize saving over spending. One way to do this is to pay yourself first. When you get paid, the very first transaction you perform should be to save or invest some of the money for yourself, rather than trying to only save what you've left at the end of the month. This ensures that you put your goal first, ahead of any expenses you may have. An important part of saving and risk mitigation is having an emergency fund to cover unforeseen expenses. This consists of money set aside each month in a savings account that gives you flexibility. Its purpose is to protect you from having to prematurely access investments or even get into debt when life throws you a financial curveball. What you need to understand is that the system is working against you at every step. We live in a world which prioritizes spending over saving, and where consumerism is heavily incentivized. You've got a 24/7 marketing machine in your pocket, always trying to sell you something and make you feel dissatisfied with not having more stuff.
Now, in order to achieve financial success, you're going to have to challenge the norms and swim against the tide. You're going to need to resist the distractions and temptations and really focus on your end goal. It's going to require significant discipline on your part, and we won't lie, it's not always easy. But your future financial success depends on you making tough choices. So remember, always pay yourself first. Always prioritize your future self and invest as much as you can, as early as you can, for as long as you can.
The fourth money mistake to avoid is locking yourself into a pension plan. We all know that the purpose of a pension fund or 401k is to make provision for our retirement one day. The theory is that by setting aside a small percentage of your income each month and investing it into a retirement fund, you will have sufficient wealth to pay for all our living costs from a certain age without having to work. But there's a problem, a few actually.
The first problem is that retirement funds seldom provide sufficient income to be able to retire with ease. In fact, in the overwhelming majority of cases, pensioners are forced to drastically reduce their income at retirement age just to make their funds last. So if you had plans to travel the world once you retired, think again. Chances are you'll have to cut your monthly expenses by half to have any hope of surviving in the later years. Naturally, what you get out is a function of what you put in. But what we're highlighting here is the inadequate return that most people receive on their retirement funds.
The second problem is the shift in financial responsibility away from ourselves and onto a fund manager. Retirement funds incentivize us to blindly trust that our retirement is secure. We've seen this time and time again, where people reach retirement age assuming their retirement is secure, only to discover that they have much less capital than they thought. At this stage, it's obviously too late, so in most cases there's nothing to be done but delay retirement and go back to work. Had we not been under the false pretense that our retirement funds were enough for retirement, we'd have been far more motivated to make additional investments for retirement.
The third problem is that your money is tied up for decades, and you have no influence over what you're invested in or how your money is allocated. This may seem like an advantage in the beginning when your financial knowledge is limited, but it quickly becomes a thorn in your side as your financial confidence grows. This was our experience. Once we had sharpened our investing skills, we felt frustrated at the limitations imposed on us by these restrictive financial products. We were annoyed that we had to lose 3% of our returns each year to brokerage fees, and that we couldn't invest in the assets that we were most passionate about, or that we understood better.
Now, in saying all this, many employers, as part of the employment contract, require their employees to participate in the company retirement fund. So in this case, you may be forced to subscribe to a 401k or pension fund, even if you don't want to. In fairness, there can be advantages in certain cases. Some employers offer to match their employees' retirement contributions, or even pay a higher percentage in some instances. So it may be worth taking advantage of an offer like this. At the end of the day, however, our message to you remains the same. Never assume that your retirement fund will be enough to sustain you in retirement. Take personal responsibility for your wealth through increasing your financial knowledge, and always accumulate investments that you can control in addition to your retirement account.
The fifth money mistake to avoid is online trading. In the last few years, online trading or forex trading has become a hot topic. Trading has been popularized through traditional news media and is glamorized by many social media influencers on a daily basis. Advertising is relentless. We've all seen those annoying YouTube videos promoting trading and promising a path to quick riches. It's become a mainstream concept. Everyone has heard of trading at this stage. If you've managed to resist the temptation to trade up until this point, there's a good chance that you at least view the idea of trading in a somewhat positive light, as something which is likely to be profitable for most people. We're here to tell you that this could not be further from the truth. A recent study showed that over 97% of individual traders who persisted for more than 300 days lost money. Only around 1% earned more than minimum wage, and only 0.5%, yes, 0.5, earned more than the starting salary of a bank teller.
And we can assure you, this isn't the only study showcasing these damning statistics. Numerous other studies confirm these findings, indicating that on average, less than 1% of day traders are able to reliably earn money through trading. And an important point to bear in mind is that of the traders who did actually earn money, this money was earned at great financial risk. In other words, it would have been far safer and much more reliable to just get a basic job paying minimum wage. What you need to understand is that you're competing against sophisticated, professional traders who do this for a living. And nowadays, you're also competing against advanced computer algorithms. Trading is a zero-sum game, which means that for every winner, there has to be a loser. Trading platforms spend millions on advertising in order to lure excited newcomers into thinking that they actually have a shot in making easy money. But in reality, 99% of newcomers simply end up giving their money to the professionals. If you're still not convinced and absolutely insist on trying online trading for yourself, here's our advice. Limit your risk by only using an amount of money that you are comfortable losing. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you received any value from this video, please consider clicking the like button. It would really help us out.
In upcoming videos, we're going to provide a foundational understanding on the topics of money, finance, and freedom to allow you to prosper financially. So please subscribe if you want to see more from us. In the next video, we're going to discuss 5 powerful money habits that are vital to every beginner's journey. See you in the next video.